years would go by and I would realize like, oh yeah, I can absolutely see the appeal of just, you hit a point where you're just like, I don't know if I can do this same job forever.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. Heisler approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Del Bush.
Dal.
Del.
W. Dal Bush.
Coming in hot.
I mean, look, I get it. You don't want to necessarily buy a thing that you're going to own that's all beat up. I'm guilty of, and I'm using my grocery store reference like I always do, if I'm buying a box of cereal and it's a crushed-in box of cereal, I'll look and see, oh, is the one behind it in better shape? And I'll get the one in better shape.
But you wouldn't not buy the cereal.
But if there's nothing left but the crushed box, I'll take it. Because it's not like the cereal is damaged inside.
Like, I mostly don't understand it, and this is we're leading it off. I don't understand it for like action figure packaging because I'm someone who opens my action figures, so I don't care.
I'm someone who eventually opens his action figures.
One of the really nice things about buying import used toys is that frequently companies, stores will mark them down because they've been opened, packaging damaged. Every time I see package damaged on Ami Ami or Mandarake, I'm like, ooh, discount for Dal.
Yep.
Because I don't care. Figure inside, perfectly fine. Maybe never even displayed. But if the box is damaged, they're like, well, collectors, like, I don't care. I display my figures, not my boxes.
I get it if you're buying like a used Lego set and one of the pouches inside is torn open. You're like, how do I know all the pieces are there?
Sure, and that's a different thing. Like if you're unsure about accessories or if the actual physical good inside the package has been like tampered with in some way, then that's obviously like a different conversation. But when we're talking about something where, again, like to go back to the cereal reference, the bag of cereal inside the box is fine. Hasn't been opened, hasn't been touched. The box is dented, so it's like, who cares?
So I bought an enormous box of Cocoa Pebbles. Okay. Like, biggest box I've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
Almost the equivalent of those generic giant bags.
Oh, wow. Sure, yeah.
And I have a cereal Tupperware container. You're familiar with the kind?
I am. I've had one in the past.
And I forgot I had it, and I was trying to put this box under the counter sideways because you can't stand it up. And it was encountering resistance. I was like, what's back there? Oh, my Tupperware cereal thing. Mm. So I pull it out. Inside of it is a never opened but removed from the box bag of Monster Mash from last Halloween.
Oh, so that's how long ago it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all the monster cereals in one.
You know that it's not fresh.
For sure.
Right.
I mean, it's still sealed in the bag, and I left it, and I'd put it in the container.
I wonder. I mean, last Halloween, so October 2023.
Yes.
I mean, it might still be good.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's the thing.
Preservatives, right?
Here's the thing. It was never good. It is not a good cereal.
I mean, it might not be toxic
mix
to eat.
All those flavors. Yeah, exactly. So what did I do?
You ate it.
I just left it there.
Oh, okay.
I put the Cocoa Pebbles on top of it.
On top of the bag of Monster Mash?
That's still in the Tupperware. Because this Cocoa Pebbles would never fit in the Tupperware. It's way too big. But I just needed to get the box in somewhere. And when I did have a bowl of Cocoa Pebbles a few days later, nothing tastes like it used to anymore.
No?
Yeah. Anyway, so I'll buy a dented can of vegetables.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
And we frequently go back to the not statistic, the quote, the adage, we can't tell you what to do with the comics you buy. Mm-hmm. It's not for us to say, hey, you should read that as opposed to slab it or seal it away or whatever.
I mean, that's a subsection of all the variant cover stuff of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's me just getting to the point where I'm like, I get it. Some people just do that. They just collect covers. Like,
but it's always disappointing when somebody doesn't buy an action figure they want because the package isn't to their standards.
Yeah.
And especially, like, we got a case of X-Men Legends X-Men 97 Legends in this week.
Series 2.
Sealed in a case, but every card inside was really bent. And these are the thick, thick
retro
cardboard,
cards.
blister packs where they seal the blister pack in between 2 layers of cardboard.
Where it looks just like a much bigger version of the classic blister packaging.
Yeah. And all of them were messed up, but the figures themselves were fine. And the case was fine.
Yeah.
I think it's because they stack them and they don't stagger them like they used to, like flip it so it's blister to blister.
Yeah, that's how they used to do it.
Yeah, so anyway, but somebody outright wouldn't buy figures they wanted because the cards are bad.
Yeah.
And that would just never stop me. But again, I'm not everybody.
Yeah, it's possible.
And more shame to the rest of the world.
It's possible this person was somebody who wanted to display it in the package. I don't really do that. I mean, I guess I do that with pop vinyls. I don't take them out. I just leave them in the little box. But I only have 2 pop vinyls, 3 Gwenpools. I got a few Gwenpools. So I don't know.
You have 4 Gwenpools.
6. I have 6 pops. I have a Laura Kinney Wolverine, a long shot, and 4 Gwenpools.
I'm sorry. Don't you have a Hodor somewhere?
I think that went back to the store.
Or the wall or somebody?
It went back to the store. It was a Hound. I think it was a Hound.
Okay.
It went back to the door.
If you quiz me, I could maybe name 2 more Game of Thrones characters.
Okay,
That's it.
I won't quiz you.
Jon Snow.
Oh, thanks.
The Raven.
I think you're thinking of I don't think there's the Raven.
Dominic Fortune. He's a Game of Thrones character, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thought so.
He was in season 3. They didn't do him justice. Justice was in season 4. Yeah, so I mean, pop vinyls I can sort of understand a little bit, but just because there's that's not even an action figure. Do you know what I mean? It's
the Marvel ones are
you can't the heads bobble, but Marvel Legend. I would never consider leaving a Marvel Legend in the package. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Look, I'm getting to it. Okay, I'm gonna open them. I'm getting there little by little.
Yeah, it's true. You're in a Lego thing right now, so that's got to take priority.
Just this afternoon when I was working invoicing, I was posing a lot of my Wolverine Brood figure.
Nice.
Love that his jaw opens. Such a good part of the toy.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job with those 2 packs. I think they're doing some fun stuff for the various anniversaries for Marvel Legends characters.
I almost said, yeah, we're about to get the Patch and Joe Fixit White Tux figures. No, those came out 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you already got those.
I just haven't opened
yet. I haven't opened yours yet. I think the next stuff coming up, I don't think it's coming out immediately, but we did just order the 85th anniversary Superior Spider-Man and Astonishing Wolverine. And then coming up after that, I think is Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, Power Man and Iron Fist, something else probably.
A classic Iron Fist, but a more current Power Man because they just did a Power Man.
Yeah. This is
Luke Cage.
This is Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Kind of Thunderbolts
they
era
don't
Luke
call
Cage.
him Power Man. Even in the retro packaging, just call him Marvel's Luke Cage.
I wonder if Power Man is something where it's too generic for them to be able to utilize. So it would have to be Marvel's Power Man, and it's at that point just call him Luke Cage because at least that's trademarked.
All right, Dale, I'm going to jump into something. Wow, I got louder there. Sorry, everybody. I'm going to jump into something that is not. There's no precedent for it. We haven't talked about it before, and even when I thought of it this week, I'm like, I'm going to save it and spring it on down later.
Let's go pick up our Diamond books on Tuesdays. What?
I have always said that a subscription service is basically a personal loan.
Okay.
We are buying your books for you, and you are paying us back.
Yes, I guess that's correct.
And I say it's a loan because you're not paying us back. You're not buying the books. We are.
Yeah, you don't. It's not like you're giving us money and then we place an order on your behalf. You tell us, I want those. We order them, and then when they come in, you pay us for them.
So you are already paying for a thing that we have already paid for. You're reimbursing us for something we've already paid for.
Yes.
And I mean, that's just on a base, clinical level.
Sure.
That's what it is. What do all loans do?
Earn interest?
Charge interest.
True.
What if we charged interest on delinquents?
That's interesting.
Right? This is not an entirely serious point, but
I see where you're coming from.
When you have people that have had books on hold for months, larger books, let's say omnibuses.
Let's say it.
That's money we paid out months ago.
Correct.
And if you if you owe, let's say a credit card company, someone who's lending you money,
right.
They charge interest. Let's say you hire a tradesman and you're paying them off. Like you don't pay them one lump sum, you're paying it over time.
Right.
They charge interest. Mm-hmm. If you are a creative and you do a job for a company and they take too long to pay you, you charge interest.
Sure. So the problem in this scenario is that the solution for people who are delinquent, who don't want to suddenly pay more money than they planned on, is just to not pick up the books. And that's what they're doing anyway. They're already just screwing us with the books. So this is them, like, introducing this formula into it just makes them more disincentivized to come get their books, because now they cost more than they did yesterday.
And admittedly,
the only way this would work is if they had the books and then we were charging money for them, because then it becomes a thing of like, oh, you actually took these and now we have a legal recourse to get our money back somehow. This is just...
I feel it's harder to get money for people after they have the books.
No, I'm saying your recourse as, to do this, to create this scenario, you would have to have documentation, much like a loan, that says, I'm agreeing to do X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. In this, what we have right now, we have a verbal agreement that also has no collateral. So someone defaulting on it is just us going, well, shit. And that's not going to get better if you're saying the penalty of you picking this up now is that you owe me more money than you did last week. Because all you're telling people is, once you reach that threshold, just burn them.
And I think there's a point where mainly the specific people that aren't picking up their books are doing it because they can't afford them. And then suddenly making it more expensive is a detriment.
I would say some people are doing that for sure. But some people are doing it because they just... It's a combination of don't have time and don't care. The number of people that we've had burn us over the years where it really just feels like they just went, oh, I don't care about comics anymore. Like whatever made them pre-order these things just wore off, and they were just like, nah, forget it. And so in lieu of contacting us and saying, hey, I've changed my mind, I don't want these anymore, we just let them pile up for 2 months and then go, oh, I guess this person is sticking us with hundreds of dollars worth of product. We have 2 subscribers, mail order subscribers, that I'm currently waiting for a point where I can send them the final invoice after like a month of trying to get them to pay their invoices.
Wow.
For stuff that's been packed up in the back. And then one of them specifically is on a 2-week cycle, and that means that since it's been a month, we are now entering the point where their next shipment should have gone out and been paid for, and can't because the current one is sitting there not paid for. So they're basically at a point where like they're going to get notices on Sunday saying like, if this is not taken care of by Tuesday at midnight, as in like 11:59 p.m. Tuesday night, we are canceling your account. We are putting all these books back out. We are avoiding all of your pre-orders. That's it. We're done. Like, we have sent, some of these invoices have been sent 6 or 7 times.
Okay, that's too many?
It's a lot, but like it's not quite at like a month point where I feel like
okay,
I want to burn this bridge. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, how often do you send them if it's 6 or 7 times in less than a month?
So we send out invoices Tuesday nights.
Right.
If they don't get paid for by Sunday, I send out another invoice.
Okay, that's 5 days.
Right. But then it's not at a specific cadence. It might be the next Sunday. It might be, as we get into a month, it might be something where it's that Sunday and then that Wednesday, as we're like, hey, this is really getting out of hand.
Sure. And of course, mail order customers require so much extra time and work.
They do.
For $0 extra.
I don't want to take this box apart and unbag and board all these comics.
Yeah.
Don't want to do that. But yeah, it's pretty much where we're going to be at. Is since again, for these 2 subscribers, they've been getting these invoices and I've heard nothing from them. So this isn't like, some people will say, hey, next Thursday. That's like, fine. You got in contact with us. I understand. It's no big deal. But when it's multiple invoices and you're just ignoring them, and it's like, this is what you asked for. This isn't me just deciding on a clear blue sky that I would like to get paid for these books now, even though I would. This is you saying every 2 weeks I want my books. So it's like, great, I did what you asked, and now you're ignoring me. So that's going great.
I cannot think of who they are, but it's always...
One is somebody who's basically brand new, and I feel like this is not a great sign.
Uh-oh.
And the other is a semi not long time, but like they've been with us for a few years. And this occasionally happens where like it takes them a little longer than we would like for a shipment to get paid for.
Sure.
But then they get back on track and it's not a problem for a few months.
Yeah, like the two people I was thinking of, I think, are not either of them.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, I'm thinking of Bob Jones and Steven. Well, retailers say it all the time, but never be afraid to fire a customer.
Yeah, I'm mostly just in a situation where I don't want to have to undo all the work I did putting a couple orders together.
Sure.
So that's why I'm giving them a little extra rope.
I think, and this is going in a different direction, but still in a customer dissatisfaction level, which we weren't necessarily at. But anyway, I think this week there were 2 customers who were really disappointed in the way the discount program is ending, the loyalty program is ending.
Oh.
There was, and look, I don't feel bad about it because there's a note posted with all the details right on the plastic shield in front of the register that you are literally looking at when you're asking me questions about it. And B, we've sent out 9 different emails about it, if not more.
Yeah, it's been at the top of like every consumer-facing email that we've sent out for like the last month.
Yeah, and that's 2 to 3. It's also in the weekly. Hey, here's what the books you got.
Yep.
So that's 3 a week.
Yep.
Provided you're getting books for that week. But
well, and also providing you read any of our emails, which we know is not necessarily an assumption we should make.
Yeah, we definitely had a regular subscriber email and say, hey, I didn't get my points for my last purchase.
And this is 2 weeks into us having sent all these emails.
But it's in an email. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that email didn't at the top of the email have the...
I don't remember. Because that one didn't, because that customer will frequently reuse old emails.
Okay.
And just like do a new reply to at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the ongoing email chain.
I know.
But one of them didn't understand that they stopped earning points at the end of March, but has all of April to cash in.
Right.
And they had like 350 points left.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, how can I use those? And the answer is you can't.
Yeah.
500 is the minimum.
Yeah, you hadn't earned enough to get the next reward level.
Yeah.
That's it. Those, I guess that essentially that $3.50 goes to waste. Just does.
And then
that's just how it works.
Another person knew that the program was ending but wanted to use their points, and they had 0 points because they hadn't been in over 2 months.
Uh-huh.
And if you're not in 2 months, it resets to 0.
Right.
And they didn't understand that. And so to them, it felt like we were just taking their points away.
Right.
Like, because they knew they had enough for a free comic.
Sure.
And then when
they didn't have that reward waiting for them, they had to put that book back.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always feel bad if there's been a miscommunication, but in this instance, the points emails, which we stopped sending out because people stopped earning them, when you earn points has a note at the bottom specifically saying that you have 60 days to use your points. And this is the thing, it's 60 days of inactivity on your account is what resets the points. It's not like you only have 60 days to spend your points. Some people save them up for months. The thing is, you have to earn or redeem within 60 days to keep your rewards account active. They were not in 60 days, so the points expired. Like, that's just how it works.
That's
how it's always worked.
One of the points of a reward. You're being rewarded for coming in more.
Yeah, that's why it's also frequently termed a loyalty program. Like, if you aren't coming in every 2 months, if you're not coming in 2 months, it's not much of a loyalty.
Yeah, fair.
But that's all going to be in the past real soon, in about 12 days.
And I felt bad about it, but also it's like, save of us coming to your house and explaining, sitting down and having tea and explaining it to you.
There's always going to be people with any program, any change you make, any store function, that someone's going to be like, I didn't understand this, or I didn't see that note. It's always going to happen. There's nothing that you're going to get 100% buy-in on. I remember there was a point where we were making changes to the subscription service at the old store we used to work at. And it was happening at the first of the year. And every single subscriber at every single store got a little sheet of paper that they had to sign saying that they understood what was happening, so that nobody could claim that they didn't know or they weren't informed or whatever. This was, you came in and got your books. Here's the note. Read this, sign it. We're going to keep it. So that, but that's all you can do. That is the only foolproof way of doing it. And good luck doing that when you're dealing with people who are not subscribers, who are just semi-regular customers. And if they don't read those emails, they're never going to know.
And also, it's like terms and conditions. You don't actually read them.
No, nobody does.
You just sign the thing.
Nope. And then you find out, and then you're like, oh, Tesla told me that I wasn't allowed to take my Cybertruck to a car wash.
I think that you and I may even be guilty of not reading the fine print of every document.
Oh my God, yeah.
Again, I don't want to give someone a bad taste in their mouth for doing a thing that we told them we were going to do.
Yeah, and additionally, I mean, you just never want there to be friction at the store. You don't ever want there to be a situation where people are getting upset or feel like they've been let down.
If you want to be let down,
I do not.
You can subscribe to Werewolf by Night Red Band Edition.
Blood Hunt Werewolf by Night #1.
Is that what it is? I thought it.
I don't know, because the only catalog that's set for Marvel right now is on Popverse, and they don't do it in a way that I like. The Beat does it better, but they didn't post theirs yet.
I thought you said it was just a new Werewolf by Night series that's red banded.
That's what I read earlier in the week, but again, it could be a Blood Hunt Werewolf by Night miniseries. It could be a Blood Hunt Werewolf by Night one-shot. It could be a completely different Werewolf by Night series that's going to be coming out after Blood Hunt. I don't know.
I assumed
somebody
it was that
come
one.
in. A subscriber came in and they were asking about Ghost Rider Final Vengeance. They're like, "Is this a miniseries?" Yeah. How many issues? And I had to go, I don't know, man. Like, well, so here's the thing. Like, no, there's more.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it was just 2.
I don't think so, because I had to look it up. I'm like, I looked at I think there's a 4th issue coming out, or 3rd or 4th, and I looked at the solicitation, and it didn't specifically say, like, final chapter, final issue, or whatever, and nothing in any of the title fields says of whatever in a parentheses.
Oh, they never will anymore.
And that's what's so frustrating is it's like, yes, I know it's a miniseries. I genuinely don't know how many issues this is. There's a solicit for the Chris Cantwell Thanos comic in the new catalog that's coming out.
Yeah.
It's just called Thanos TP, like it's got a subtitle. So it's like, okay, so this is the whole series, 4 issues. And I'm like, I didn't know it was only 4 issues. Like, I know that's an average length of a Marvel miniseries now, but I genuinely did not know how it was going to run because no one tells you anymore. There's nothing that ever says it. I frequently have to, because I can't read every Marvel book, nor do I want to. When I'm making spaces and when I'm moving things around on the wall and I'm making spaces by taking things away because books are completed, I will frequently have to pick up a thing of like White Widow and flip to the back and go, is there another coming out?
Continued?
No, the last page is telling you that you should go read Elena Belova's Continuing Adventures in Thunderbolts. Like, great, okay, this book's done now. Thunderbolts, another one that's just, I think, basically over. It might already be done. Incredibly frustrating as a retailer to not know the duration of any book that Marvel's doing anymore.
Especially when you grew up in an era where it would say 1 of 4 right on the cover.
I get it if you don't want to put that on the cover to your consumer-facing stuff because you don't want to tell people to wait for the trade or whatever you think psychologically is happening with your customers. But Jesus Christ, at least tell me so I can answer these things, or I know when a book is done.
Yeah, but if you can answer it, then you give this customer the same answer.
Oh my God. Like, if you're that terrified of your customers finding out what you're publishing, you have way bigger problems. Way bigger.
You know who does have way bigger problems?
The Werewolf by Night.
DC Comics.
No, do they?
What is next week in the historic annals of comicdom?
April 24th?
No, I consider that this week. That's the week after.
Free Comic Book Day?
Yes. Free Comic Day.
Yes.
What is Free Comic Day?
Free Comic Book Day is an event run...
2 comic shops. What is it?
Usually your best sales day of the year?
Sure. What is one of the things you want for a big sales day?
Customers?
Good new product to sell?
Sure, let's say.
That week, DC has 5 books.
It's a 5th week for them.
That's right. Because it's April 30th. Yeah. It's their spring special.
Okay.
Nightwing annual. Harley Quinn annual.
I did FOCs that week. It was real small.
The
good news for Erica Henderson, I guess.
Yeah. Brainiac one shot.
Yeah.
And one other annual.
Yeah.
Flash annual. Yeah, okay. That's it. That's their entire lineup. That's not great. When I was breaking down the invoice and I saw the dollar amount, I'm like, what's wrong?
Uh-huh.
It's 1/3 of the one we were just talking about.
Yeah, that's great. Yay! Thank you.
It's not great. No one's going to buy anything.
We'll have all the leftover stuff from April 24th.
For the week of Free Comic Book Day, they have 5 books.
It's crazy.
And most of them are just like, okay, an issue of the series.
Well, and this is the thing, like, while we get a bunch of those, all of those are like pre-pulled basically for subscribers.
Yeah.
So while it's a bunch of number ones, it's like, we don't get a lot of annuals for the shelf because annuals don't sell as well as regular issues, and they also cost more.
Yeah.
So while we assume that a lot of people who are reading Tom Taylor's Nightwing are going to want to read a Tom Taylor Nightwing annual, there's a bunch of people that are just going to say, no thanks. Like, I'll just get 114.
And also, their $10 holiday specials.
Yeah, we don't order a lot
We
of
go
those.
pretty low on those, man.
The monthly $10 specials, people don't care a whole lot. We'll sell some. We know what the level is now for those, more or less.
Yeah, it's 8 copies.
8 to 10. A little bit more with Pride, because more people pre-order that, which usually means more people want to buy it off the shelf. But when you're doing, like, the Arbor Day special or whatever, there's a very limited number of people that care about those.
Yeah, and it's like Marvel Voices.
Yeah. At least Marvel Voices before used to have a specific kind of, like, underrepresented audience that it was for, and now it's just like, I don't know. Now it's Avengers, but it's by underrepresented creators. And like, yeah, that's not really the same thing. Not really.
Kudos to stores that do really well with any of those one-shots or specials.
I don't think there's a store that does. There can't be. Are they, like, if there were stores doing great with, like, the DC monthly $10 specials, they would be way more than monthly. Those things would be weekly.
Yeah, that's fair. I do feel bad. Speaking of Free Comic Book Day and feeling bad for retailers, like us, I feel bad for us daily.
I know.
I feel really bad for the retailers who misordered their Free Comic Day books because they didn't realize that a lot of them came bundled.
Yeah, some stuff you would order as a single unit. So if you wanted 50 copies of a Free Comic Day comic, you'd put 50 in the line and then they'd send you 50. But certain publishers were doing stuff where it was packs of like 25. So if you wanted 50 of them, you'd put 2 in the item field.
Yeah.
A lot of retailers, not a lot, but like a number every
more than
year,
you would expect.
Didn't read those or didn't see that some were bundled and some were singled, so they ordered everything singled. So for some items, they wanted 50 and they got 50 copies. For another one, they wanted 50 and so they got like
200,
750,
2,000, 200,000.
A lot. Yeah, they got 50 bundles of 25, which is a lot. It's way too many.
And there's some retailers that said that the solicitation didn't say so. I don't know how every distributor handled it because we ordered our to be an official Free Comic Book Day store, i.e. recognized on the website, and to buy in, you have to buy certain books from Diamond. Even if you get all of your DC books from Lunar, you have to buy the Energon books.
I think it's specifically the PRH stuff is where they really get shit, because like you can order all your Marvel stuff from PRH, but you have to order at least one bundle of the Blood Hunt Free Comic Day comic, the Ultimate Universe Free Comic Day comic.
We had to do the Energon special.
Yeah.
We had to do Hellboy.
Yeah.
So we had to do, some specific, you had to order at least, 25 copies of every gold tier book.
To be considered
from
a
Diamond.
participating store. And that's, not to get off topic, but that's the thing that Diamond's had for a while, because they want there to be a uniformity to, while not every store is going to carry every Free Comic Day comic, the heavily promoted ones, they want to make sure if you're a participating store, someone can go there and find that book. Like, they're not going to have the super deep cut silver comics that cost 45 cents a copy. As part of their promotion, they're going to have the gold stuff, and that costs a little bit less, and those are by major publishers who have probably paid money in some way to make sure they're gold level people, and they're included in the promotion.
They're all paying money by losing money on the printing of these, but that's not what your point is.
No.
And it does give us the opportunity to have our store listed on the Free Comic Book Day website with a link to our events, a little write-up, and a graphic. One of the things I'm always frustrated with by Diamond's website access for local comic shop, comicshoplocator.com
Okay.
and freecomicbookday.com is that the image sizes they allow for their website are microscopic. They can only be like 250 like that
pixels wide.
Yeah, like it's
a real small.
It's a very, very small photo, so everything has to be worked on, digitally altered, and
reduced in quality.
Yeah,
great.
And it's I mean, I do it.
Thank you.
That's why the photos on our Comic Shop Locator page may not be like, from last month, but they're still an accurate representation of the store.
Sure.
But I do think that there's a portion of the populace that when planning their free comic book day tours, they will look at that site and find out who's doing what. And
I hope so. I hope it's valuable. As with anything we ever do promotionally, it's like, I don't know if anyone sees it.
Sure. But since it's basically the same write-up everywhere, it's easy enough to copy and paste it and put it in. And,
sure.
And it's nice that they do that just because we're ordering those books. So
that is nice.
But the point is, since we order most of our free comic day books from our individual distributors, aside from the minimums we need to get from Diamond, we will order all of the Marvel stuff and the Dark Horse stuff from PRH, and all of the Image and DC stuff from Lunar. Which, to be fair, you don't really have that much of a choice for your DC books.
No.
But so I can't tell you that each distributor had the bundle breakdowns listed clearly, but I do know that it wasn't a problem we encountered.
No. So
on the specific distributor sites that we used to order from, it must have been listed clearly.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly if the information was conveyed inaccurately to retailers, that's a return situation. But I feel like because of how much the Free Comic Day comics are getting ordered and how difficult it is to sort of do all of the logistics for that, I feel like it was probably double and triple checked. Like, I don't think it was a situation where, I know retailers like to say, like, well, they didn't tell me, but like, I feel like they did and you probably just didn't see it, or you overlooked it, or you read the wrong line. I mean, I get it. Like, we've all had mistakes where we accidentally order, say, 10 Dazzler posters when you think you're ordering 10 Dazzler facsimile editions.
Sure.
Because the lines are very close together.
It happens to the best of us.
Like, 15 out of the 16 words are identical. One at the very end is different, and you missed it. Like, I get it. Like, something got truncated. Fine. But this is a situation where I don't think that was the case. I think you maybe just overlooked it. And it's okay to make an error and say, look, it's certainly harder to say, nobody's nerfed when you're looking at a gigantic Free Comic Book Day bill that you were not anticipating because you accidentally ordered 25 times what you thought you were ordering.
Yeah.
That, even though they're not, regularly priced comics, that math can add up, man. But sometimes it's just a mistake a retailer made. I know retailers are going to be shocked by this to their core. Sometimes retailers make a mistake, not just publishers and distributors and shipping companies and customers, but sometimes, Patrick, even retailers have been known to sit down, make a mistake.
Well, you mean other retailers?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not talking about challengers. No, of course not.
Well, I didn't even mean challengers per se. I just mean whoever retailer's listening, somebody else.
No, I mean them too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just not us. Never us.
Nope. That's why we are doing so well. And everything is perfect.
Everything's great. Forever.
I'm going to cross this one off and that one. Going to need your phone.
Okay.
For this next one.
I'm ready.
It was announced this week that a 21-year-old store in Studio City, California, Sherman Oaks, California, one of the LA adjacent areas of California, Earth 2 Comics is closing their store.
Yes.
And Earth 2 is, like I said, been around for 21 years, owned by Car D'Angelo, who came from the entertainment industry. He was a movie producer before got into comics, and he is one of the most vocal and recognized retailers in the industry, and somebody who to this day is still like helping other people, commenting, and
That's great.
And a big part of the industry. That's the store that Morgan Dynamite Perry came from.
Oh, nice.
That is a store that at one point had a location co-owned by Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
And it's been 21 years, and they're pulling the plug. And Dal, what can you tell us about it?
This is a post. Is this from Car?
Yes.
Car D'Angelo? Our lease is up. Moving is not an option. Wholesale discounts are smaller. Shipping is higher. The distribution system is fractured, and because each vendor processes data differently, it takes longer to order and restock product. We're making less on each comic sold than we did 10 years ago. Further, publishers are also feeling the pinch. They have cut back incentive programs that helped us grow readership and tighten print runs to the point they can't meet demand when a title is a hit.
All the things that all retailers have been talking about since
Sure.
the pandemic. And a point that he made at a different point in that same post was, it'll be great to just enjoy a weekend and not worry about getting my FOCs in,
Mm-hmm.
or having to worry about, wait, is it a holiday? Was something due early? Remember when DC had their FOCs due on Thursdays
Yeah.
because of days? And it's like, to just live a life. And it made me think, like, I can't imagine being a new store and having like young kids
Sure.
to worry about as well. Like,
Not counting holidays, or the few times I've needed to go on a vacation of some sort, not even a vacation, but like a trip.
yeah,
I haven't had Sundays off in 16 years. Every single Sunday.
yeah.
Unless it's the aforementioned exceptions. And I that's most
Well,
people have Sunday off. They watch football games. I can't do that. I watch it when I get home.
I can't tell you, what was it, 2011? Was that the memory?
It was, yes.
2011, I posted, a Facebook memory came up where I was working with my dear friend Anna, who for that day was Anna Challenger, on a Sunday. So you must have been out of town.
I must have been out of town. I must have.
But it was
must
such
have
a
been a family
such an
thing.
important trip that you can't even remember that you were out of town in April.
I mean, it was 13 years
Yeah,
ago.
fair.
It's asking a lot.
Anna and I worked together back in the 90s, early 2000s. I'm like, hey, it's like the late 90s all over again.
Nice.
It's fun to look back and think of the temporary challengers that
Sure.
worked.
Mhm.
Do you remember Aaron?
No.
What about Raven?
No.
Okay. Those are actual people from
I believe
Challengers
it.
history.
Dominic Fortune, is that another one?
Yeah, but he worked for us in the 50s. It was a different thing. Emma?
No.
Emma was our one Art Institute person that never really got it.
Oh, yeah. No, okay, yeah.
Of the three,
Yeah,
which was Delia, who set the bar incredibly high,
yes.
and then
Emma was number 2.
Kinsey, who did all of the
Kinsey was
great
third.
design work and
Right.
stuff. Emma was in between.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, there's Tony,
Uh-huh, sure.
Fallon.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a long. I have a spreadsheet of
I believe
names.
you do.
But I can't do it in one sitting. Like, I had to build it over time because I would not remember everybody
Sure.
at one point. And that was part of Carr's post. He was thanking people, and he's like, it's been over 100 people.
Yeah,
And I can see that.
yeah. 21 years, I mean, that's a really good run. And obviously, I don't think he wanted 21 to be the end of it. It's interesting, the number of stores that are just hitting a point where, and it happens all the time. I remember pretty early in Challengers Run, there was Rocket Ship in Brooklyn, and they had 5 years, and they got to the end of their 5-year lease, and we don't want to do it anymore. And that was eye-opening for me because it was an idea that and something that would become a lot more prominent in my brain.
I was going to say prevalent, but yeah.
Over the next, at that point, because I don't remember when they opened and when they closed. Their existence overlapped with Challengers for a bit, but I don't think they opened right when we opened or closed right when we opened. There was it was a little in between, but years would go by and I would realize oh yeah, I can absolutely see the appeal of just, you hit a point where you're just I don't know if I can do this same job forever. And certainly some of the stuff that Car D'Angelo talked about, where you're realizing I'm making less on what I'm doing than I was 10 years ago, which is
and
not
you're working harder.
which is not the direction you ever want to go in with your business, is essentially doing the same or more amount of work for less return. And that's what, stores have been complaining about basically since the pandemic, is that
that's everyone in comics right now.
This all got
and
way
I don't
harder.
mean retail, I mean comics.
And we're also dealing with the idea that even when we were all working our asses off and things could potentially have been good, not for everybody. Some stores were up, some stores were down. We're now reaching a point where it's clear that like that was also kind of a bubble. So like what publishing is dealing with in 2023 and 2024 is like the new reality. Yeah. Like it's not just like trending down or whatever, but like whatever you're at, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like, so, as a store, you want to see the business grow and you want to feel like all of the work you're putting in is not just running in place. And yeah, if you get to the end of the lease and you realize you're going to have to move heaven and earth to try and keep the business going for another year, you might sit there and say like, that's it, And Cardiangelo, I think, had mentioned in other places that he's shutting down the storefront. He's still going to do like shows, eBay sales. I assume that Earth 2 is a place that had a large back issue selection. That it seems like this is kind of just a similar move to what Mile High was doing, where they're like, the new comic treadmill is maybe not where we want to be at. Yeah. Like, if it's not profitable and it's a ton of work and it's not getting any better and I don't see a future in it as a retailer, then maybe I just do something else. Like, there's other ways to do comics retail than just, honestly, yeah, you can probably make a go of it not doing new comics and just doing back issues.
And also, don't forget, he came from somewhere else as well. So he had a career before this.
Oh, you mean in a career.
So, unlike us, who have only ever done this.
Pretty much. And that's another aspect is I like new comics. So it's not like I'm looking at this going, we can do that? I wouldn't want to. I like reading new books. I like selling new books. I like turning people on to new titles and having people respond to new creators and stuff. Like I care way more about that than I do about helping someone finish a Guy Gardner Warrior collection or whatever. Like, that doesn't interest me at all.
Well, you've got that personal bias against Joe Staten.
Sorry, Bo Smith or whatever.
Well, let's talk about comic book retailers, because Comics Pro, the comics professional retailer organization, a group of like-minded retailers who have joined an organization together to give a large number of stores one voice in the industry. So when they talk to publishers or distributors or what have you, their voice carries a little more weight than one store complaining about a thing.
Sure. That's totally valuable.
We've been members for a while. I was a board member for a term-ish. And they did a survey at the start of the year about the state of comics retail, what retailers are facing, and the results are out now. And I'm going to preface this by saying we did not participate in this survey. We didn't. I personally didn't. I feel that our voice and our status is well represented.
Possibly overrepresented, as we'll find out momentarily.
So here we go. Here are statistics from this survey, and I can talk about it because these were released publicly and put on news sites.
Yeah, I saw it on ICV2, I think.
And I got this from the Beat.
Okay.
The demographics of comic stores. Are you ready?
Ready.
Comic book stores tend to be small, family-owned, independent businesses. 88% of retailers work in their stores full-time. I hear that. 81% of retailers have single storefronts. And 30% of stores reported they have no employees, aside from the owners.
Yeah, none of that really surprises me because there's a lot of stores in rural or suburban places where you don't need that many people. Like, I worked at a store in a suburb, and, you would never have more than one person working at a time. And if you didn't need weekends off, or you were okay being open 5 days a week instead of 7, you could do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you were never that busy. It was never that many people in the store. You weren't in a highly trafficked place. You had a core group of customers and people who would maybe find you for back issues and stuff. But yeah, there was never a point where like a dozen people were in the store and you were slammed, or you needed to be open 7 days a week. Yeah, maybe not.
You never felt the need to hire a 12-year-old to be in a furnace room bagging boarding comics for 3 hours?
Where I worked, we didn't have a furnace room.
Oh.
furnace was all the way in the basement for this gigantic brick building.
I'm so sorry.
I know, I missed out on that formative experience.
Over 1/3 of retailers reported they have children at home. Okay. The vast majority of comic store retailers identify as Caucasian and, are you ready for this? Male.
Whoa.
10% of the retailers surveyed identified as people of color.
That is a very low percentage.
11% of comics retailers identify as female or non-binary.
That is a very low percentage.
10% of retailers identify as LGBTQ+.
That is a very low percentage, but also I feel like, even on an anonymous survey, probably not accurate.
Oh, you think it's higher but not reported?
Correct.
Okay. 38% of comic shop retailers, like yourself, are between the ages of 30 and 49, while 47% of us are over the age of 50. And
Patrick, you're in the majority.
I changed that to us. Of course I'm in the majority. I'm over 50 and I'm a white male.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Almost half the retailers surveyed.
You are the majority of all of these things. You're a straight white male business owner, over 50, who owns one storefront.
Who works full time.
Works full time.
With no children.
No kids at home. Jesus. Is there a percentage on there, like 67% are Captain America fans?
Look, the industry is the reason why.
It's true.
Almost half the retailers surveyed, 47%, have been in business 21 years or more. Now, technically, Challengers has not been in business 21 years.
However.
But you and I have been doing this well over 30 years
long.
each.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a demographic of the store owners.
Yes.
Here's sales for 2023. 54% of retailers reported gross sales of $300,000 or less, while 18% of retailers reported gross sales over $1 million. Wow. Challengers is neither of those.
Middle band.
Yep. So
so $300,000.
We're in the middle 28.
Yeah.
We're in the unreported 28%.
We're in the middle class. It's $6,000 a week, basically. This was years and years ago, but I mean, I worked a suburban store that adjusted for inflation. Yeah, it's like $6,000 a week.
Look,
again, if it's just you running your store,
yeah,
and you're in a place where
the cost of living is low.
But just in general, like your rent for your store for square footage is probably low. The amount of stuff you have to stock is maybe, again, if you're doing $300,000 a year or less, not a lot of stuff. Your diamond bills, your lunar bills, your PRH bills, if you even have a PRH account, probably low. Is it possible? I mean, it's okay. I mean, I feel like in that situation, you definitely need a spouse with a full-time job.
Sure.
Who is helping make that make sense.
That is not a question that they asked. They did not ask if you have a full-time partner in a different industry.
Because that's the thing that a lot of creative people in comics have brought up, is kind of the need to attach yourself to somebody with a full-time job outside of comics for things like health insurance, for things like, money for food and shelter.
Or as Van Halen says in the song Sucker in a Three-Piece, a sugar daddy or a sugar mama.
Exactly. So yeah, I would love to see that instituted in the Comics Pro survey. I'm trying to think of how I'd want to phrase the question. Probably something like
household income,
like your percentage contribution to household income, just to get an idea of, are you solely responsible for your own living situation, i.e., you run a store and you live by yourself, and the store's solely responsible for keeping you clothed and sheltered and fed? Or is this a situation where you're running a store, but your spouse is largely responsible for the household income and you contribute a smaller percentage of that because that's what a store can contribute?
When I die in the near future, your workload will go up by a little bit, but your profit will go up by double.
Sure. And I mean, likewise, depending on which of us.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
Drops dead first. I don't know.
It's me.
I don't know. I think
if it's you, you're doing it out of spite.
No, I'm living out of spite. I'm not dying.
I'm living out of spite.
No.
Overall, Sales were down in 2023. The end. No. The majority of comic book stores, 69%, reported lower gross sales in 2023 than in 2022. That's us.
Yeah. Again, in the majority.
22% of stores reported higher sales. Well, that's not us. When comparing 2023 sales to 2019, pre-pandemic, fewer stores experienced sales decline for that period than they did from 2022 to 2023. Blah, blah, blah,
Which,
blah.
again, just goes back to the point of, like, the pandemic was a bubble for a lot of retailers. Like, you had a huge upswing in number of customers and average spend, and then it just all reset at the end of 2022, basically, where things just started to drop and reset themselves to, in a lot of instances, a higher thing than 2019, but boy, is your profit dropping.
I'm jumping to products sold.
Okay.
The three main products that comic stores sell are?
Ultimate Spider-Man. No, you mean comics, back issues, graphic novels.
Correct. So what do you think the breakdown is for challengers in those categories?
Oh, man, back issues is like under 5%, probably.
Sure.
It's very, very little. Graphic novels, I think it's probably like 35 to 40%. Comics is probably similar. And then everything else we sell is like 20%.
On the average...
I haven't looked in a little while, though, so I don't know if that's accurate.
On the average, new comics account for 38% of store sales. Back issues are 16%. And graphic novels, 18%.
Yeah, graphic novels
definitely
I think
not
for
our
us are
experience.
way higher than a lot of comic shops.
Diversification.
And when we go into shops, one of the first things I look at is, how is your graphic novel selection?
Yeah.
And there's times I go into places and it's like, I don't know if this has been restocked this year. Like, it's just a lot of kind of random stuff.
Sure.
And I can tell how old some of the books are. And it's like, these haven't been in print in like 7-8 years. And you probably got a lot of them on like a damaged sale from Diamond when they were doing those pallet sales, like a lot of stores would do.
Over 80% of shops sell toys. We do.
We do.
Over 60% sell card games.
Just so you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Over 50% sell board games and role-playing games. The 60% card games and board games, I would just put that as one category. I know they're not.
I wouldn't, though. I like that they break that down because there are stores that go very heavy in board games and role-playing games, and we stock them, but we don't go heavy in them. And it wouldn't account for a large... If you break that out from like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, like D&D role-playing games would not account for more than a 1 or 2%. I think 1%.
But the disparity is only 10% between 60 and 50.
Sure.
That's higher than I would expect. Other items mentioned by over a third of the stores are stuffed animals.
No.
Technically, yes.
I mean, there's a level at which I would not consider what we do
apparel.
Carrying the line.
Apparel.
Like, you can have, like, if you had a plush Spider-Man that you got, and that's the only thing you carry for plush things, I don't know that I would say you carry plush animals or whatever.
You wouldn't send someone to us for plushies.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Apparel, which we count pins and buttons as apparel.
We would, yeah, I guess. Again, I don't know that I would really say that was a major part of our business.
Not anymore. Packaged food and drink, prose novels, prose books.
Prose novels, interesting.
The majority of sales occur inside retail stores. Stores are looking for sales outside of their four walls. 31% of retailers sell directly to schools and libraries. I wish we did.
I wish we did too.
29% sell at conventions. 69% sell via mail order or online sales. That's us. Almost all stores offer, 97% offer comic subscription services at their store. 57% of those offer discounts. 39% of those have a reward program.
Yeah, which, I mean, if you put the 39% and the 57%, I think if you're assuming those are not completely overlapping things.
Right, that's virtually 100%.
It's basically everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's got something.
Okay, we're getting to the end of this.
Okay.
Operations. Almost 80% of comic retailers operate using a point-of-sale system. The most common systems are...
I already read this, so I know.
Okay.
RMH/Comic Suite, Comic Hub, Shopify.
And Square. And that is
I looked into Square, and I like Square's interface a whole lot.
It's
but
just their inventory management is insane.
Yeah, it doesn't...
It can't handle the
It's really not good
volume.
for 100 new SKUs a week.
Yeah.
And obviously Shopify is what we use because that's integrated with Managed Comics.
Yep.
Which we like a lot.
61. I wish that was a breakdown of, hey, what is your subscription service? How do you run it?
Yeah, that would be an interesting way of a data point. Is is it like spreadsheets? Is it
are you leading
graph
Comic
paper?
Geeks?
Are
you
is it?
Comic Hub? Are you
Yeah.
Managed Comics?
Yeah.
Are you Comic Shop Assistant?
I'd love to hear it.
Are you your own thing?
Yeah, because Comic Suite is not technically a point of sale system, which is why they say RMH/Comic Suite.
Yeah. 61% of stores spend money on advertising, with the majority of that ad expenditure happening on social media, mainly Facebook.
I wonder if that still works.
100% of it doesn't work.
Yeah, I assume it doesn't.
That's not a statistic. I made that up.
It's a statistic, and you made it up.
When asked to rank a variety of different factors that are important to the success of their businesses, retailers rated the shipping costs from distributors and incentives such as returnability and extra discounts as most important, which is the opposite of what we were told from a survey like a year or so ago.
Yeah.
Remember we had an episode dedicated to how
I remember being incredibly frustrated.
Nobody
that people
mentioned
people
like, what's
thought
the most important thing?
Well, mostly that people thought returnability was a burden they didn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, it's such a benefit to your business. It's one of the things that Cardiangelo is talking about. He's talking about ways that publishers can get behind a new series and help retailers grow sales is making a book returnable and like making copies available on reorder or over shipping or all those things. Even Marvel's doing it with Bloodhunt #1 by over shipping to stores. Maybe not a huge amount of copies, and maybe I would have picked a different book, but whatever. It's something.
I hope you all pulled out your Challengers, Contest of Challengers bingo card and crossed off Dal talks about returnability.
Mm-hmm. There was a period during the pandemic where every publisher was like, this has got to be a core of how we do things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, finally. And then, much like everything else good that happened during those years, that's all gone now. DC just went, nope.
When asked to rank different issues that retailers feel impact their businesses in a negative manner, the overwhelming response was being required to post final order cutoff numbers for issue 2 of the series before issue #1 has come out.
Speaking of Bloodhunt.
Yeah, right?
While I hate that and it's a huge irritation, the cathartic thing is just realizing, oh, I just order less. And while that's maybe not great long-term for my business, it makes me feel like I'm not rewarding publishers who do stupid things like that. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to make me FOC issue 2 before issue 1 comes out, get used to a steep cut in what I ordered from issue 1. No matter what your stupid returnability scheme is, where I've got to order 100% or 90% or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't have sales data, it's way less than that. The percentage I order is way less.
That's only fair. From our standpoint.
Yeah.
Last week I talked about how behind I was on my emails.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught up a bunch this week, and mainly it was reading emails I'd saved to read PDFs that were in the emails.
Sure.
So this past weekend I blew through a ton of them.
Yeah.
And I made a list.
You did. You showed me that list.
It's a very long
anyway.
list. There's more to it as well.
Yeah. Wow.
And inadvertently, or I guess unbeknownst to me,
mm-hmm.
the majority of books that I read were books that came out this week.
The release dates are probably in that email that said what was a bundle for Free Comic Book Day and
Yep.
what was a single
Sure.
copy. So it's not your fault.
So while I was all excited to talk about these upcoming books, they're all already out.
Uh-huh. You can just go read I Heart Skullcrusher #2.
Yeah. And the thing is, the books that I loved the most
Hmm.
were just the newest issue, and these are almost all Boom books,
Yeah.
of a series, like Animal Pound #3, I thought was so good. I Heart Skullcrusher 2, like Dal just said.
Which I got to read tonight. I
So,
haven't read it.
still running it. Displaced 3.
Displaced 3 is
It
real
just
good.
keeps getting better.
There's a couple real cool twists that get added to kind of how the mechanics of it all work. About the disappearing Townsend people that I'm just like, this is real good. And I can sort of see like, oh, this is how you're going to get rid of somebody. Like, oh, that's really good.
Well, I have a suspicion of how the series ends,
Uh-huh.
but I don't want to say it out loud.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, Blowaway #1. That was the only like new Boom book that I read.
Yeah.
Which is a good.
This was not a really good week for new #1.
Sure.
I mean, this is not a month ago when we had, Helena Winhorn #1 and I Heart Skullcrusher #1 and Batman Dylan Dog #1, where it was like, oh my God, there's too much stuff.
Wow. So many people did not buy Batman Dylan Dog #2. Yet we sold out of one, and
We
everyone
reordered.
who's mentioned it
We had to reorder it.
talks about how much they liked it.
We sold a few more today on the website, which is really weird because that was a book that came out last week that would have been last week's
Yeah,
like
new segment
page
of the website section.
because people just like. And again, this is a problem consistently in comics sequential publishing, is that in order for a lot of things to work right in the industry, things like FOCs, sales data, etc., people need to read their books right away, and most people don't. I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. All
Sure.
our customers are guilty of it. So when we're doing things
for new
like
books, I will read them right away. Like for new #1s and things, I will read those right
Sure,
away.
but a lot of people don't. Like
There were people I was talking to last night who hadn't been in for a while, and I pitched a bunch of these books that we talked about, and as I'm ringing them up, I said, you need to let me know right away if you want to add these, because these all come out, the next issue comes out in a week or so. Also, I Heart Skull Crusher #2 is already out this week.
Yeah.
So, like, you want to make sure I can put you down for the next issues.
Yeah. Because for a lot of books, even when the FOC system is working correctly and we're given the proper amount of lead time, the proper amount is issue 1 comes out on Wednesday, issue 2 FOCs on Monday.
So you have 4 days.
So we have 4 days for people to read it and then add it to their subscription account, either by telling us or doing it through Managed Comics. And that's not a lot of time.
No.
That's assuming that people are right on top of this and are as fervent and dedicated as we are, but it's our job. I get paid by reading these things and knowing what's coming out and recommending them. So I have a very high incentive financially to read these things as quickly as I can, and even I don't necessarily do it.
Sure.
These are people who, this is a relaxation for them. This is their hobby or the way they wind down. So rushing to do it so they can immediately know if they need to order the next issue is insane. It's an insane thing to ask people. So I'm always a little disappointed when it's like, we sold a ton of copies of Helen and Windhorn #1, and we did not have a lot of subscriber copies for #2. But that's because people probably read issue 1 2 weeks after we FOC'd issue 2, if they've even read it yet. So yeah, there's probably going to be a lag where they're not going to even need issue 2 for another couple weeks. And then we're into this problem of how much do we want to adjust our numbers on issues 3 and 4 for some of these series? Do we assume that people are eventually going to come in and need the issues they missed that they weren't able to subscribe to? Or do we assume that maybe they read issue 1 and didn't care? Or that we sold it to someone who doesn't normally shop with us? Because that happens a lot, where someone who's not a regular customer, who isn't even someone who maybe lives in Chicago, comes in, sees a cool new #1 issue, grabs it. Well, they were never, ever in a million years going to get the rest of the series from us.
Where were those foreign tourists in from this week?
Amsterdam.
So they have a YouTube channel,
Yes.
and
I assume you've been tagged in things?
yes,
Okay.
they haven't posted. They just a photo of one of them outside the store.
Yeah.
But they had a video of a different Chicago store
Okay.
up already. However, it's all in Dutch.
I assume this is going to
Yeah.
be. There's.
I can tell you that
Yeah.
Dutch for graphic novel is graphic novel, and
I bet
Dutch
it's like
for
an F and a K.
Dutch for back issue is back issue.
Sure.
Or they spoke English specifically because those words don't translate, because I picked those up.
I think there's.
But I did watch it.
No, I mean, I think there's some stuff that just the country that kind of creates the situation gets to name it.
The thing that I couldn't tell was if, like, how positive they were being or whatnot.
The gentleman I spoke to was incredibly complimentary and
Well, I didn't see one of our stores, my point.
effusive in his praise of Challengers.
That's very nice.
Yes.
Okay. Books that I read. I read White Book #1 from Distillery.
Is that Scott Snyder, Francesco Francavilla?
Yeah, this is a controversial standpoint.
Mhm.
I am not a Francesco Francavilla art fan. And there were numerous points in this book I wished it was someone else drawing it.
Oh, no.
And there are certain panels, I even pointed out to, I think it was Andrew at the time, I'm like, look at how the person is talking about the thing that's happening, and you can't see the thing that is happening because it's obscured. And full page layouts, I don't want to. It's a very intriguing story.
Yeah.
And it's captivating. It's a very long first issue.
Mhm.
I just wish the art was a little better.
That's a bummer.
Ain't No Grave, however, Scotty Young and
George Corona.
George Corona, The art is
Transformers, George Corona.
spectacular.
He's a very good artist.
And it's all different textures than giant robots.
I'd assume if it's a Western.
It's a Western, and it is...
The guns are probably the same.
You may see
material.
the... you find out what the story is about at the end of the first issue. You may get there before the story does.
Mm-hmm.
The art makes that book so good.
Great.
I read Crocodile Black #1, Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Is that also Boom, I think?
It is Boom. I didn't understand it.
Uh-huh.
I thought the art was good. It was different. It was moody. It was atmospheric and almost like smoky.
Uh-huh. It's
But
like a crime book, right?
Yeah, basically.
I think that's sort of how they pitched it.
Yeah.
I read the solicit copy and some of the Boom promotion on it. It sounded like a crime comic.
I read Helverine #1 from Marvel. I don't know why it's a thing.
I don't know why you read that.
Well, it's Ben Piercy, and I like Ben Piercy.
Do you read Ghost Rider?
I read Wolverine.
I mean, he wrote Ghost Rider for 20-something issues. You didn't read
Yeah,
that?
he's also... Isn't he still writing it?
I think so, yeah. This wrap-up series.
How many issues is it?
3 to infinity? I don't know, man.
Just today, I read Universal Monsters: Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives.
I like the art.
1 and 2.
I like the art.
It's written by Dan Waters and Ram V. It is a sequel to the Universal Monsters: Creature from the Black Lagoon movie. So it's the same characters.
Okay.
Just a little bit of time has passed. Not even that much time.
Okay.
Sometime. I think it's real good, but it is about the woman from the movie,
mm-hmm.
and there's a creature in it.
Okay.
Like Dracula was from the standpoint of Renfield.
Okay.
But Dracula was a big part of that book.
Sure.
The creature is definitely in this book, but it is not about the creature.
Okay. Do you think they're eventually going to do a Laurel and Hardy one for the Skybound stuff, or no?
Don't know that they have the rights to those.
They have to. I mean, that's the conclusion of your Universal Monsters, is like Laurel and Hardy have to show up.
Who are bigger monsters than Laurel and Hardy?
I mean, Laurel for sure, but like...
I really wanted to make a joke about that other comedy duo, but I can't do it, from the era who were the same shape and size. I can't do it though. Come on, everyone knows them.
I don't. It's not Laurel and Hardy. Are
You
sure?
you do. I just can't think of them. Anyway. Yes. So Crocodile Black, Ain't No Grave, I Heart Skull Crusher, Displaced, Animal Pound, Blow Away, White Boat, Helverine, Creature in the Black Lagoon. I also read 1 or 2 more that I did not write down.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a bunch of what I thought were new books to go through.
Yeah, crazy times. A lot of books. I just was looking at the Marvel solicits for, I think it's July, August.
And
August,
I can't read
maybe.
any of the new DC PDFs because I'm behind at least one issue on all
The
of them.
amount of stuff that's coming out at the end of the summer is insane. Usually we spotlight around 4 new Marvel projects. And sometimes like the 3rd and the 4th ones are like, this isn't great, but like maybe there'll be interest or I want to bring it to people's attention. This month it's 8, and there's stuff where I'm like, I wish we could go to like 10.
Wow.
Because it's X-Men, Phoenix, NYX, X-Force, Aliens vs. Avengers, Spider-Man Reign 2, 2 other things where I'm like, yeah, we've got to list these. Like, this is going to have a lot.
Do you
of
think
interest.
Aliens vs. Avengers, which is Jonathan Hickman and Esad Ribic, will sell more than X-Men #1?
No. I think it'll sell a lot, though. I mean, Jonathan Hickman gets people to pay attention, and Esad Ribic is definitely an artist that people enjoy.
I also think it'll be like a $6.99 book versus
I don't even
X-Men's
remember.
like $5.99.
Yeah, I'm sure they're both going to be crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aliens vs. Avengers is not what I would have expected Jonathan Hickman's next book to be after Gods, but it's going to sell great, and I think it's an easy pitch to a lot of people.
Yeah, here's the pitch. It's Aliens vs. Avengers.
Yep.
You know what the next one is? Predator versus X-Men. We
When
already had that. It was Predator versus
Wolverine.
Wolverine. Yeah.
Technically, this is the second one.
Yeah. What?
Sorry,
it'll
dude.
be Planet of the Apes versus Defenders.
Uh-huh. No, Fantastic Four. It's a science problem. They got to solve it.
It's not science; it's evolution.
Science is a kind of evolution.
More like de-evolution,
Maybe.
like Zot and the Devos.
Maybe.
I was waiting for your list of all the PDFs you read.
The only thing I read today I can't talk about.
Right? There's a.
I'm not allowed to talk about what I read today.
I read 3 issues.
And who it's by and what I thought of it.
I read 3 issues of a book that I'm very excited for. That it's very dark, but I can't talk about it either. Right. Did you read that yet?
I didn't. No. I will.
And I will read the one you read today.
Yeah.
It's good having friends that want you to see things ahead of time.
Sure. Yeah, I've been a little disappointed with the number of like promotional PDFs I've gotten from publishers lately. Some of it again is just the next couple months are maybe not the strongest as far as like new releases that we're getting shown ahead of time by publishers. Like a lot of what I've been reading in PDFs, I don't usually want to talk about on the podcast because it's like the next issue of Cobra Commander or whatever. Like,
sure.
I talk about Cobra Commander. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, but I still think it's great that Skybound gives those to us.
Absolutely. I definitely want publishers to give that stuff to us all the time. However, it's not necessarily something that's going to be something I use promotionally for customers.
Sure.
It will help me order, and I always want it. But yeah, it's not going to be something I'm going to take time out of the podcast to go, oh my God, you guys got to read Cobra Commander number 4, but also 1 through 3. Yeah.
Don't forget, we have 2 weeks in a row, 2 creator signings, both on Wednesdays. This upcoming Wednesday on April 24th, we have Mike Marici and Brent Schoonover signing Dick Tracy number 1.
Yep.
The right at 11 o'clock.
From Mad Cave?
Mad Cave.
Mad Cave.
And Mike Marici and Alex Segura, who are writing it, also have the publication rights for it.
Yay.
In comics. And then the following Wednesday, May 1st, we have Brian Azzarello and Stephanie Phillips for Distillery's first anniversary celebration, and it's the same day that Distillery's Blood Brothers Mother, number 1, written by Brian Azzarello, comes out.
Yeah. And Stephanie's got a ton of stuff that she's done recently that we've got in stock, and then she's also the writer on that new Phoenix comic that's coming out.
And she was in Devil's Cut from Distillery and has a Distillery book coming out later in the year.
True enough.
So plenty of things to keep you busy before C2E2, after C2E2, free comic book day, and a ton of stuff after that. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.